Professor Ijeoma has been accused of fraudulently registering certain politicians, and also accused that at the University of Hare, an illustrious university when it comes to African political literature and contemporary politics within the African continent, having produced a number of presidents of the African continent. In fact, the first ANC Youth League branch of the Youth League of the ANC was formed at Hare, but that university, which should be a flagship institution within South African academia, has become a shadow of its former self. I am now going to bring in Professor Ijeoma just to speak on these allegations. Prof, a number of allegations you faced, particularly around corruption at the University of Hare. What actually went down with the Vice Chancellor and yourself, and being accused of being at the center of corruption and illegal registration of politicians at this illustrious university?
Thank you very much, Samkele, and I want to thank the viewers of SABC. It is with great pleasure for me to be given this opportunity. The reason being that since the rhetorics, the false accusation, false allegation, and the general understanding of what has transpired at the University of Hare has not gone to the public. The public has always been fed with one single story from the Vice Chancellor of the university. I want to use this opportunity to assure South Africans that I am still who I am. I am not a fraudster in any standard, in any comparison, in everywhere that I have worked over my 25 years of sojourning in South Africa. I have worked with University of Pretoria, I have worked with UNISA, I have also worked with University of Hare, including the NEPAD Secretariat, which is the branch of the African Union. So what you have been hearing in the past 3 years has been false narrative targeting some politicians in the Eastern Cape. I don't know where that is coming from, but one thing I know is that the public, the reading public, and the viewers of South African news media are not aware of the truth at Hare.
What is the truth at Hare?
The truth has been that the change management approach of the current Vice Chancellor is below par. He came in as a vendetta. He came in as an investigator. He didn't come in as a leader that has vision for the institution. One thing that has to do in academia is that it's an environment for free thinkers. It's an environment where people have the opportunity to speak their mind. But when you work under this individual, it is a toxic environment. Everybody, even presently, those who are, whether you are in academia or whether you are in administration at the University of Hare, you dare not say your mind. And some of us will not be able to stand or withstand such situation. So the challenge has been is that where the Vice Chancellor is not shining, he does not celebrate. And that is not, the Vice Chancellor should be a visionary, should show good sense of leadership, should make sure that issues around teaching and learning, community engagement, research and development becomes the cornerstone of the university development.
Did you register Sindisiwe Bromba, the former Minister of Health, register Noxolo Kiviet, the current Minister of Public Administration in the country, and Oscar Mabuyane, the incumbent Premier of the Eastern Cape and provincial chairperson of the ANC fraudulently at this institution, that you are accused of bringing in these politicians whom did not qualify to be at the institution and have since been deregistered?
There is a wave that need to be checked in South Africa and elsewhere. Whenever there is an issue that has to do with people who are not attuned with policy implementation, what happens? They target fraud and corruption without simplifying what that entails. So fraud and corruption, both in administration and so many other issues in Fort Hare, is being misrepresented to the public. There was no fraud and corruption in admission. Secondly, when you talk of registration of a student, we are talking about the office of the registrar. I wasn't the registrar of the university. I was at the lower ebb of registration of a student. And you cannot accuse one single person, and a professor for that matter, for registering a student, especially when that professor is not maybe within the value chain of registration exercise, but may not have what it takes to register a particular student. In a university where you have plus minus 5,000 applications every year, what do you get? We have selection committees at every stage of registration. For example, I was involved with the Bishop Campus Selection Committee. I was the chairperson, and all the academic staff and non-academic staff were members of that committee. After the selection from that stage of the committee, the next stage it will go to the faculty committee. The faculty committee will also do their checks and balances before it gets to the admissions office. Those are the structured admission processes in every university around the world, not only University of Fort Hare. But for somebody to come and target politicians and align their admission to one single person is very absurd. But when the gullible members of the public read this, about 90% of them, you don't blame them, they don't read in between the lines, they may not know the background, that these are unfounded, targeted character assassination.
So how did Oscar Mabuyane, Noxolo Kiviet, and Sindisiwe Komba register at Fort Hare when they did not qualify? How did it happen?
I cannot answer that because I'm not the registrar of the university. But one thing I know is that the purpose of checks and balances within registration of the university is not residing in one office. I did not capture their registration. I didn't give them student numbers. I also did not sign their what do you call it? The acceptance letters or letters of admission. So why should it be the bug stop with Professor Ijeoma for these people? I was in the selection committee that admitted a lot of people at Fort Hare, not only these few people that you have just mentioned. And that is why I'm saying that this is targeted character assassination. I don't know the story behind the management of the University of Fort Hare, that for the past 3 years now, even when I have left the University of Fort Hare, politicians are still being targeted and they are linked with my name. Why should that happen? What kind of witch hunt that does not stop and focus on the core business of the University of Fort Hare? I wasn't supposed to come here to be discussing this. I was supposed to come here to talk about innovations, to talk about how University of Fort Hare should be the envy of the world, to talk about what other universities are talking about. And many universities in this country, by the way, have internal policy challenges, and they are dealing with it without exposing and giving the university a bad name within the global community.
Did politicians and senior government officials in the Eastern Cape buy their master's degrees and their PhDs, paying professors at that institution under your tenure to get those qualifications? Were master's degrees and PhDs bought at Fort Hare?
That is, you see, when those narratives are out there, it hits those who didn't know how the universities work. You see, most of the time, people pass through the university, and the university does not pass through them. If you pass through the university and the university passes through you, you will know that it is impossible for anybody to buy a qualification. For example, nobody can lecture a whole range of programs for a particular student, because even in a particular course of study, you have 2 or 1 lecturer that teaches that, and it goes through external examiner before you even write the exam. So it is unimaginable for anybody to conceive within his thoughts or her mind that somebody will self-qualification. So when the stages of selling, it also goes right from the beginning till the person is given a certificate that is signed by the dean and by the vice chancellor of the university. So there must be a value chain of salesmen and women for one to get a qualification that is sold. That is completely institutional, reputational damage for somebody to open his or her mouth to say that people sell qualification at the University of Fort Hare. It never happened.
Prof, the Vice Chancellor's life is under threat. He's had a numerous number of assassination attacks. One of his protectors has lost their lives during his tenure as the Vice Chancellor of Fort Hare. Who is behind these assassination attempts against the Vice Chancellor? Since you say he's also coming out guns blazing and instituting witch hunts against people at Fort Hare.
The assassination attempt is something beyond my thoughts. The reason being that people may not understand certain things that happen within state of administrative overreach that some of them may have experienced at Fort Hare. I give you a classical example. There was a lady who just passed on last month. This lady's husband was relieved of his duties at Fort Hare, and this lady, it now affected the family, affected the children, and there was chaotic relationship just because they don't have means to put food on the table, and the husband left home, and this lady eventually died just because of the experiences they had at Fort Hare. So many people that have been witch hunted, I can promise you over 30 people had left the University of Fort Hare since the current Vice Chancellor took office. You don't know the experiences. And some of the experiences were that some of these people that left had some discussion, close discussion with the Vice Chancellor to say, we are not taking you to the press, we are just allowing you to have an understanding with us. Just tell us what happened. And those people are covered till today, and nobody heard about them, but a few people are being mentioned to the press. That is not acceptable.
Our time is running out, Prof. Just a quick one. Is the Vice Chancellor not changing Fort Hare to be better and to go back to its illustrious history, knowing that Fort Hare in the past 10 or 20 years has become a little shadow of its former self? The campuses are decaying. There is less quality coming out of the University of Fort Hare that produced the likes of President Mandela, President Robert Gabriel Mugabe.
Okay, you see, the quality of studies, because if you want to measure the quality of an institution, you need to discuss the quality of research production, development, and so on and so forth. In fact, this period is the period that Fort Hare has actually lost its enviable position in this scheme of academia in Africa. Fort Hare research production, Fort Hare number of PhDs and master's program has fallen within this period. Check the records, verify everything that I'm saying. You will see that the records is showing that people are no longer interested in registering in Fort Hare during this dispensation. You see students in Fort Hare because they don't have other places to go to, and because universities in South Africa are oversubscribed. If they see other places to go to, I trust you, parents will not be taking their students to the University of Fort Hare.
Last question, but is it not dropped those masters and PhDs because of corruption at Fort Hare?
It has nothing to do with corruption. There's no, as far as I'm concerned, I still need to be convinced who sells degrees at the University of Fort Hare. For a Vice Chancellor to use his hands to destroy what has been built before he came. Remember, it is easier to destroy than to build. That university has been there for over 100 years, and somebody now came and said everything that has been done before I came are false. The challenge that I have in this approach is that myself are being investigated for something that happened even before the current Vice Chancellor came. It's an indictment not only on the university, and also on the predecessors of the current Vice Chancellor.
Thank you very much for your time, Prof. You are definitely out of time now. That is Professor Ijeoma speaking on the ongoings at the University of Fort Hare. We do know that the Vice Chancellor has embarked on a clean-up campaign of the institution of the University of Fort Hare. There has been a number of assassination attempts on his life, as those whom are seemingly against the changes taking place at the university are coming up against him and the efforts he is perceived to be trying to clean up what was once an illustrious university in South Africa. There have also been attempts to write to President Cyril Ramaphosa to protect the protect the Vice Chancellor of the University of Fort Hare, with a number of signatories writing to the President to make sure that he is protected in what is perceived to be a clean-up campaign of one of the illustrious universities in current contemporary politics of South Africa.